Brittany Begley, you're watching Morning Blend Extra Shot.
I'm Walt Gray. Rob has your weather in just a moment, but let's start off in Elk Grove. The fallen Elk Grove police officer Tyler Lenehan is being honored as we speak. Here's an overview of Elk Grove just moments ago. This is the view on Laguna Springs Drive. A procession to honor him began about 15 minutes ago, making its way past the Elk Grove Police Department, where Officer Lenehan worked for 6 years. His colleagues say his work was recognized across the community of Elk Grove.
And happening now, we have live team coverage for you this morning. ABC 10's Luke Clary is at the Elk Grove Police Department with information on how the fallen officer is being honored by his colleagues.
But first, Marcus Allen is live along the procession route in Elk Grove. Mark, what have you been hearing? You've been out there since 4 this morning. What are community members telling you?
Yeah, it started early. Elk Grove is a city known to love and support its own, and indeed they did this morning, starting as early as 3:30 a.m. People began lining Elk Grove Boulevard all the way down to Laguna Boulevard and the length of it. And this, of course, procession route with blue banners and blue ribbons representing today and the memory of the fallen officer. If you look just beyond the intersection of Laguna and Laguna Springs, you'll see a fire truck. That's pretty much marking the beginning of the procession. It's going to be making a left up Laguna Springs. If you think you might want to leave your house and be a part of it, there's still an opportunity to jump in. If you're southbound 99, look for the Bond Road exit, make a left and left on Laguna. If you're northbound on 99, exit Laguna, and it'll be pretty obvious how you can jump in and support the route. I want to be as discreet and respectful as possible, but camera guy Mark, if you will pan, you'll see some Elk Grove PD off-duty officers over here. Out of respect to them, we want to let them continue to mourn in silence during this procession, and maybe we could actually talk to someone. I just want to ask you, miss, what does it mean to you to be here today to pay your tributes?
I want to say thank you for this officer who has given to save our community and keep us safe, and I appreciate everything he's done for us.
Absolutely. A tragedy, no doubt. This man has served his country doubly, both in the U.S. Air Force and, of course, now with the Elk Grove PD, 2 divisions before that as well. I talked to the father of a police officer, Travis, a little bit earlier, who in fact is driving his son in this procession. Take a listen.
Well, you know, any parent of a first responder, law enforcement, fire, whatever it is, military, you know, you don't rest as easy because we know how things are, and you know, you just never know when you're going to get a call.
No rest indeed. Indeed, that's the call you never want to get, but unfortunately that call that went out this time. As you see, officers are now in place directing traffic, so the procession should be starting any moment now. Back to you.
It's definitely headed your way, Mark. They are on time as best we can tell based on our timing here. We will visit with you again as it gets close. Thank you, Mark. And the man accused of hitting and killing Lenehan is due in court today. It's 31-year-old Jermaine Walton. He's facing homicide, DUI, and wrong-way driving charges. Walton was convicted of another DUI in 2017. He's being held without bail. His hearing is coming up in exactly 4 hours from now. So what exactly led up to that deadly crash that killed Officer Lenehan? ABC 10's Bria Love breaks it down.
On Friday, January 21st at 5 a.m., a portion of Highway 99 southbound near 12th Avenue shut down. We would later find out a driver traveling the wrong way hit 6-year Elk Grove Police Department veteran Officer Tyler Lenehan. He was on his way to work that morning. Officer Lenehan was transported to UC Davis Medical Center, and despite life-saving measures, he died.
This is an incredibly sad day for the Elk Grove Police Department, for the Elk Grove community, for law enforcement.
Lenehan is survived by his wife and 2 children. This is the first time Elk Grove PD has suffered a line-of-duty death, a tragedy that has shook the entire city to its core.
Happening now, we have live team coverage continues this morning from Elk Grove as the community, including law enforcement members, gather to remember Ty Lenehan.
We have ABC 10's Luke Clary who's live outside the Elk Grove Police Department this morning. Luke, you're in position. What does it look like right now with the procession?
Yeah, well, we're standing on Laguna Springs Drive, very close to the Elk Grove Police Department, which really has been ground zero in terms of memorial events for Officer Lenehan. We do believe that the procession is coming imminently. We understand it left from the coroner's office on Broadway about 10 minutes ago or so. And we are starting to see crowds of people gathering here, preparing to pay their respects as the procession comes this way. We do understand that this is going to be a relatively small service, and that comes at the request of the family. A larger funeral service and arrangements for that are in the works right now. We can expect that to be actually much larger. Far more units will be coming out. Today, we will be seeing the family in the procession. They will be looking out the window to see all of this support for them here. Motor officers, the Elk Grove Police Command, and we may also see some units representing Citrus Heights Police Department, Gulp Police Department. Those are police departments that Officer Lenehan, where he previously served. He also served previously in the U.S. Air Force. Before that, he has been described as having an infectious smile, a loyal heart, and faith in God. And again, we're expecting today to be a relatively small service in comparison with funeral that will be coming in coming days. We understand that arrangements for that are in the works right now, and we may be able to bring you news on when exactly that will be and how Elk Grove can come out to pay their respects for Officer Lenehan. Again, the first ever in the line of duty death for this police department. The chief, Timothy Albright, telling us in a press conference earlier before the weekend that this hits especially hard because of that. And so again, starting to see folks coming out, and we do expect this procession to begin to come this way down Laguna Springs Drive very soon.
Okay, that's Luke Cleary. It's amazing how quickly this has moved. Obviously, we were reporting on this live Friday morning. Here it is Tuesday, and we have the procession, and we're still waiting for more information about funeral and that too.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as a traffic reporter, I started breaking this news on Friday around 5:12, and I would say around 5:30, initial report said that Elk Grove Police Department started to do roll call and that they were missing one officer, and that's when we knew we're going to see all those closures on 99. Now today, let's talk about traffic, what you can see if you're walking out the door right now. So here's what you need to know. So 99 Laguna Boulevard, we're going to see those delays. Those started around 10:45, and the procession's actually going to go to the Elk Grove Police Department, and that's on Elk Grove Boulevard to Laguna Springs Boulevard. Now, once they loop around the police department, what will happen is 99 northbound, they're going to make their way up to US 50 eastbound to Bass Lake Road to the Green Valley Mortuary. Now, that's from 11:45 to 12:15, so we're going to see those rolling road closures. I'll tell you, behind the scenes, our traffic cameras was just showing some police activity and firefighters as they pay their respects. That has now cleared, but we anticipate to see traffic building on US 50, so we'll update you throughout the day.
We've seen many times, Brittany, and I know you've been in town for a few years now, but that route of Highway 50 from Sacramento on up the hill, many times with fallen officers, whether they be coming from El Dorado County down here for their last ride or any which way. That's an opportunity for a lot of people on overpasses, and we'll probably see that where they get a chance from above to be able to see the procession, express their condolences. I know the family, as Luke just mentioned, the family will be in the car. They're looking, and they will feel every feel that people are throwing their way as this route goes around Elk Grove and then up Highway 50.
Yeah, I would say I've covered traffic for 12 years, and the number one thing I always hear about fallen officers is how much they appreciate people showing support. So I know Elk Grove Boulevard, that overpass, a lot of people will be doing that today.
Let's hope so. Okay, in the meantime, Rob has more on our forecast. Rob, it was just an incredibly foggy morning. What's the rest of today like?
You know, it was. This was the foggiest morning for many of us, right down the middle of the valley in a long time for 5 and for 99. But as you saw from all of our reporters along the route, the fog has lifted in the Elk Grove area and many other spots. So we are off and running to a sunny day ahead. And we've got some changes in the works. So let's go ahead and take you through some of the headlines. The fog is basically gone at this point. The dry weather, unfortunately, continues, and we're barely going to have one chance before the month is is over to see some rain sneak in here. It's not much, but it's something. So the fog, again, we're seeing it just a little bit left over Fairfield, Vacaville near Vallejo, but that's about it at the moment. Now the temperatures start to take over. We're in the 50s for the most part, a few 60s already in places like Auburn, and the 20s and 30s up high. Nothing but sunshine from here on out. Now, this is a remarkable area of high pressure blocking all storms all the way up to Alaska. And at the bottom end there, they've got a strong dose of winds for Southern California, damaging winds yet once again. They had some of that over the weekend. They're going to get it again today. For us, we're going to have some breezy conditions for sure. Now, the wind is going to make the temperature shoot up into the 60s later today, but once the winds go calm overnight, we quickly move into the 40s and 30s for tomorrow with some patchy fog for tomorrow. Now, there's that chance of rain on Monday. Like I mentioned, it is not a strong storm, but you know what? At least we can show some raindrops somewhere in the 7-day and many more in the 10-day, and that's coming up. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Rob. Well, let's track the very latest on the pandemic as it stands this morning. Breaking into our newsroom, Governor Newsom and lawmakers just reached a deal to extend supplemental COVID paid sick leave. The governor says the new deal will protect workers and provide relief to businesses impacted by the surge. Part of the governor's recent budget also includes restoring tax credits for businesses and boosting funding for the state small business grant program. Well, more on that tonight at 5 o'clock. In the meantime, let's go back to the procession route. Marcus Allen.
Walt, I just wanted to let you know a somber moment as the procession is actually passing with Officer Ty's body in place as it rounds this corner on its way to Elk Grove PD. The motorcade extending at least 75 official vehicles and other people from the community, various law enforcement agencies, both locally and otherwise, paying their tribute. Fire, first responders, even some members of the Air Force in tow. The procession has officially begun.
All right, Marcus Allen, thank you so much. We're able to see the exact moment when the entire group came by, as Luke Cleary mentioned earlier. It's a smaller group than what we'll probably be seeing certainly in the next few days or a week, when various law enforcement from around California, the West Coast, will be here. That is a tradition that goes on in law enforcement. It's been that way for many years, and this is more of a family and more of an intimate gathering as they go around here, and then they'll be heading up Highway 50.
Hi guys, we're here at Laguna Springs Drive, where we are now seeing the procession heading this way. I believe that is the Elk Grove Police Department motor officer unit. We see them driving through ahead of a number of black colored vehicles, and this would be Officer Lenehan's family inside of these vehicles. They can obviously see out those windows toward the community of Elk Grove, the hundreds of people who are now lining up and down the streets here to pay their final respects to Officer Lenehan. He was a 6-year veteran of the Elk Grove Motor Police Unit. Here we see a fire engine from Consumnes Fire Department and additional Elk Grove police officer units, a number of motor units here in the rear, bringing up the end of that procession. And as you said, Walt, yes, this is a relatively small and modest procession that came at the request of the family. We see, again, just a handful of police units that are here to help Officer Lenehan make this final journey. And of course, we also see the number of people here in the community also offering their support, waving flags, and again offering prayers to the Lenehan family, who is clearly going through a very difficult time right now. But Elk Grove coming together again in a time that is truly a tragedy for an entire community.
It is. Luke Cleary, we thank you for your coverage. That group that had just passed Marcus Allen then headed Luke's way, so we're able to get a couple of views there of the group, and as Luke and Mark both pointed out, you know, the family's in one of those vehicles, and it's the wife and the kids.
That's what I said.
You can only imagine, Luke, thank you. You can only imagine, you know, what they're going through, obvious, unspeakable grief, yet when the community comes out for things like this, it helps.
It does
help. It really does help.
It does help. When I was thinking about that, why it would be so small and intimate, but then you have 2 younger children, which he did, and the wife inside the car. I can see why they'd want it smaller, but it is important that we take a minute just to honor the sacrifices they do to keep us safe.
Much more to come for the family in the next week to 10 days as well. We'll be right back.
This and I'll let you use yourself.
You're right though, that was against the paper rules. You're right.